Worthen Arena has been busy this weekend. In a matter of hours, we go from basketball to gymnastics. Central Michigan and Ball State in a Mid-American Conference battle, and it's next on ESPN3. Worthen Arena the site on this Sunday afternoon as a pair of MAC West foes are set to collide. Central Michigan and Ball State. Hello everyone, thanks for joining us alongside former Eastern Michigan gymnast Kimberly Ebeyer. I'm Noah Reed. Kimberly, it's great to have you with us. You had a very successful 4-year career at Eastern Michigan, capped off with a MAC championship a season ago as a senior.
I'm very happy to be here. I'm in a little bit of a different role, but just being in this arena, the atmosphere is just electric, and it just reminds me of being here as a gymnast and just winning that MAC championship.
Let's jump into your impact gymnast. First for Central Michigan, it's the junior Katie Clement. She's coming off a pair of career highs on the vault and floor last weekend. What makes her so successful?
She is a very confident gymnast. In her meet last week against Illinois State, she scored above a 9.9 on floor. She also is in a very important part on beam as she is an anchor, and she really thrives in that Chippewa tradition.
Let's change gears to Ball State now. It's the only all-arounder competing for the Cardinals today, Caitlin Menzioni, the sophomore. How has she become so diverse this year?
A very interesting fact about her is she actually sat in the stands last year and watched her team compete at the MAC championship. She really worked hard in the offseason and now is on all 4 events for the Ball State Gymnastics and is a big asset to this up-and-coming program.
It's a pair of do-it-all gymnasts inside Worthen Arena today. The junior Clements was a second-team All-MAC selection a year ago when she was 3rd in the championships on the beam. The sophomore all-arounder Caitlin Menzioni. It's Ball State and Central Michigan, Rotation 1 on ESPN3. Welcome back inside Worthen Arena on the campus of Ball State University. We're just moments away from Rotation 1 beginning. Central Michigan and Ball State today in a MAC West battle. You're looking at 33rd-year head coach Jerry Reigard, a 9-time Coach of the Year in the MAC. He's led Central Michigan to 15 MAC championships in his 33 years, responsible for completely turning around the program when he inherited it 33 years ago. And for Ball State, there's Joanna Salim, 4th year as the head coach of Ball State. Last year, she led the Cardinals to a 2nd-place finish just behind Eastern Michigan in the MAC championships that was in this building right here in Worthen Arena. And speaking of that Eastern Michigan team, Kimberly Ebeyer who's with us today. Kimberly, you had a very successful 4-year career. What was the greatest memory you have in competing at Eastern Michigan?
I think the greatest memory was just turning around that program with our new coaches coming in and gathering all of the talent we had and just winning that championship and being able to make it to regionals for the first time ever in our university.
How sweet of a feeling was it to win that MAC championship last year?
It's a feeling that is undescribable. I mean, I always imagined it, but when it happened, it just happened so fast, and it's something I'll never forget.
Our sideline reporter Jack Kaiser was able to catch up with Central Michigan coach Jerry Reigard earlier today.
Coach, since 1984, you've established a culture of excellence. What's led to that over the years?
I think it's the work ethic that we instill in our athletes. They know that coming in the door. We breed that, we work on it constantly, so I think that's been the key ingredient.
You've had success against Ball State the last 3 years. What's led to that, and how do you continue that today?
Well, I think that there's more parity, and we're certainly not overlooking this meet. This is going to be, I think, a nail-biter. It's going to come down to the last few routines for each team. And so we're just optimistic that we've been making strides each meet, and we're hoping to continue that.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jack, for that. There's Jerry Reigard again. A MAC record 15 MAC championships, including 5 consecutive from 2010 to 2014. Kent State snapped that back in 2015, winning the first MAC championship not by Central Michigan in 6 years. Reigard mentored 5 MAC Gymnasts of the Year. The first ever was his daughter, Kara. He's responsible for mentoring Kylie Fagan as well. She was an All-American, the first ever at Central Michigan.
This program here at Central Michigan, there's someone that just thrives off their tradition. They had a little bit of a setback last year with lots of injuries, and it didn't get off to a great foot, but now they have really came together, and they're doing really well this season.
They're 6-3 on the season, 1-1 in Mid-American Conference. The 1 win against Western Michigan, the 1 loss against the reigning MAC champions in Eastern Michigan. About a minute away from rotation 1 inside Worthen Arena. For vault, Ball State will begin on the vault. It'll be Shelby Arms, Caitlin Menzioni, Maddie McDonald, Brianna Slonim, Jordan Penny, who was 3rd against Central Michigan on the vault a year ago, and then anchored by Sarah Ebeyer, who has the 4th best average on the vault this season at 9.785. The Cardinals last weekend suffered a 4th place finish in a meet in Washington, D.C. And for Central Michigan, they'll begin on the bars today. Led off by Courtney Campbell, it's Gianna Plaxa, Carolyn Fitzpatrick, who's coming off a career-high 9.850 a week ago at home against Illinois State. Rachel Carr, Casey Janowitz, but really the headline is the anchor, Brittany Kaplan, the reigning champion on the bars last year at the Mid-American Conference Championships here in Worthen Arena.
Central Michigan has their strength in bars, so we're seeing what they bring forward today.
Ball State on the vault, Central Michigan on the bars to begin rotation 1. Ball State 3-6 this season, 1-0 in their only Mid-American Conference competition. That was here in Worthen Arena close to a month ago against Northern Illinois.
Ball State is definitely a team you don't want to count out. I mean, they got 2nd last year at the championship, and they're definitely an up-and-coming program, and they're working hard, and they're definitely getting there.
There's a look at Shelby Arms. She'll begin on the vault for Ball State. Scored a 9.65 on the vault last weekend in D.C.
Starting off the lineup for the Cardinals is Shelby Arms. Now, what's interesting about this vault is that it is one of the very few that starts from a 10-0 start value after the rule change last year. You'll see her do a full twist onto the table and a tuck off. If done correctly, this is a great vault to start the team off on a strong foot for the start of the competition today.
Coach Salim told us they start with Shelby because of her great start value, always consistent on the beam. Her career high is a 9.75.
Full twist on table, tuck off. Just a little slight step back. Great start for the Ball State Cardinals.
As always, consistent from Shelby Arms on the vault. Courtney Campbell on the bars for Central Michigan for their first routine of the afternoon.
As you said, starting off today's competition against Central and Ball State is Courtney on the bars for Central Michigan. This is such a dynamic event for the Chippewas and really can start them out on a strong foot in today's competition.
Interesting thing about her, she did not compete her first 2 years. As a junior now, this is her first year competing for Central Michigan.
Make sure where you're hitting those handstands. Looks great. It's a beautiful ginger. Oh, one hang on. She will look to recover from that. Looking for a strong landing. Few steps back there. You know, a little bit of a mess up, but they still have 5 more people to go. They can really bring it up from there.
An almost fall right here from Courtney Campbell.
Ginger, she just catches by one arm. Her grip looks like it just ripped off, but she really hangs on to that, and it takes a lot of strength. Here's Caitlin, the sophomore gymnast, has made a huge impact this season for the Cardinals, serving as an all-around for the Cardinals. The fans should get used to seeing her face in lineups. Beautiful vault, just a hop back. That was wonderful.
The only all-arounder, Menzioni, for Ball State today.
She does a round off onto the board, back handspring on the table, and a full twisting off the vault.
Shelby Arms, the lead off on the vault for Ball State, scored a 9.825. Now it's Gianna Plaxa on the bars for Central Michigan.
Let's keep an eye on her clean and tight positions through this entire bar routine as she fights for the high score she can get today and to come back from that last routine.
Plaxa career high 9.8 a week ago against Illinois State. That gave her a second place finish, only behind her teammate Clements on the vault. Waiting for the score right now from Campbell, the first gymnast to go on the bars for Central Michigan. When you see somebody like Campbell struggle in her first routine on the bars, does that put added pressure on the 5 remaining after that?
It does, but it depends on your mindset. I mean, when things happen like that, you just have to go confident and be like, it's up to you and to the rest of the team, and if they put themselves in that right mindset, they can do well.
Bars, one of the events Central Michigan struggles with, next to last in the MAC in an average of 48.35. Here's Plaxa.
Good handstand. Beautiful blind. Jaeger. Just a little bit of feet apart on there. That was a very interesting dismount. She did a double front, and most people do a backwards dismount.
Her teammate Campbell was given a 9.05 on the bars to start. Ball State continues the strong start on vault, a 9.775 from Menzioni to follow the 9.825 of Arms. Right here was what just happened on the vault. The freshman, Maddie McDonald.
It's a beautiful Yurchenko half. She scored a 9.825 at the last meet at George Washington. She was an exhibition spot, but now has made her way up into lineups.
The first time, only the second time rather, all season long she's competed for a score. The first time came all the way back in the first meet of the year at Missouri. Here's Carolyn Fitzpatrick. Teammates call her Fitz.
Continuing their bar performance here, Caroline is up next for Central, who scored a 9.85 last week and looks to do the same today. This is one of the gymnasts who we will be seeing on several events throughout the competition today, and that's due to her confidence and consistency.
She's coming off a career high 9.85. That placed her second on the bars last weekend at home against Illinois State.
This mount she's about to do over the low bar is very common to see in the collegiate. Great start to the bar routine. Let's look to finish. A little short on that blind full. And a stuck landing. They are doing great.
A great rebound there from Fitzpatrick after the 9.05 from Campbell. Plaxa, who is second, she received a 9.75. We go to Bree Sloanham on the vault next. McDonald was given a 9.775, exactly what Menzione had before her.
Beautiful vault. You know, she has done an excellent job coming in and competing with confidence as a freshman. She has calmness about her when she competes, as if there's no difference in transferring her skills from practice to the competition surface.
The first three vaults for Ball State were all season highs from Arms, Menzione, and McDonald. Another really good vault from Sloanham as well. Ball State off to a great start with their first four vaulters. We await the score from Carolyn Fitzpatrick. It will be Rachel Carr next on the bars for Central Michigan, a Westfield, Indiana native. It'll be her last meet ever in her home state.
Yes, one interesting thing about her is this particular gymnast, she's actually old teammates with Ball State gymnast Bailey Bell. They trained together at DeVos School of Gymnastics in Fishers. The two have stayed very close friends throughout their college careers, and you can see their friendship here today, even as their two teams fight head-to-head for the title of today's competition.
We will see Bailey Bell on the beam later today. A specialist, she only does one event. Carr is tied for fifth in the Mid-American Conference with an average of 9.825 on the bars this season.
When you watch her bar routine, you definitely want to look for her line. She has beautiful lines in her floor in her bar routine. We see that mount again, right into a straddle back. Nice tight wings all the way through to the pointed toe. You're going to see a Tkachev towards the low bar and just misses it. Let go just a tad too late. Didn't get her hands quite on over the bar.
She's got about 30 seconds to get back onto the bars here.
Give her time to re-chalk up, breathe, and recover.
So a near fall already, once from Campbell, and now a fall from Carr as well.
As you can see in the replay, her blind full was just a tad crooked, which gave her a little bit too late to let go of the bar and not recatch. So she's looking for a strong ending. She tries to do it again because she lost her bonus in her routine. So she was trying to look to regain that. But this time, she still ripped off the bar.
So two falls on the routine from Carr. Fitzpatrick right before her was given a score of 9.7.
Good handstand. And a double layout for her dismount. Attached short. They're definitely going to have to come back after this one, having to count one of these scores.
We go to Jordan Penny now on the vault. Penny was 3rd last year against Central Michigan on the vault.
Beautiful. You know, one thing to note about this gymnast when you watch her is her impeccable form. She has spectacular body awareness and is in control of her skills at all times, which is why she sits in this particular spot in lineups, delivering a nice, clean vault that has the height and speed, only helps build momentum for the Cardinals on this event.
Coach Salim loves the fact that she's consistent. Says she always has a beautiful vault. You saw that right there, as now it's Casey Janowitz on the bars for Central Michigan, the reigning MAC Freshman Gymnast of the Year a season ago.
I remember her from when I was there. She has beautiful bars.
Here's a look at the score on the bars so far. First 3 gymnasts go, led by Plaxa's 9.75. Carr, who fell off twice.
Still waiting that score.
In her most recent event, still waiting on that score as well. Most likely going to have to count that 9.05 from Campbell to lead off. Janowitz on the bars against Ball State a season ago, and she was a freshman, scored a 9.8. That got her 4th place.
We will also see her later today on vault.
She's only been competing in a couple of events as of late. Was an all-arounder last year as a freshman. Finished 8th in the Mid-American Conference Championship here in Worthen Arena.
Yeager catches a little bit close with bent arms, but pretty nice form. Just a tad hop forward. That was a good bar routine coming back from the last one.
Great bar routine from Janowitz, the 2nd team All-MAC selection a year ago. And now on the vault, the anchor, Sarah Ebeyer, a senior for Ball State.
She is going to do a Yurchenko layout half. Just had a few steps forward, didn't get her feet right there. Some gymnasts do tend to struggle with the landing of this because it is a blind landing, so it is a little bit harder.
That's something Central Michigan coach Jerry Reigard told us earlier this week. He said it's a quick event, but that's the one we struggle with most because you have to be so detailed in order to get a high score. You mess up one thing, there's no chance of you getting above a 9.8.
Yes. And with the new rule change, it starts from a 9.95. So you definitely have to be very critique with everything.
Up next on the bars will be Brittany Kaplan for Central Michigan. She's the reigning MAC champion on the bars from a season ago. To get a look at Sarah after her vault routine.
The energetic and talented Brittany is going to finish things out for this Central here on the uneven parallel bars before the team heads off to their 2nd rotation today. Now, last weekend she delivered an unforgettable routine, scoring a 9.9. So let's see if she can deliver the same performance as last weekend for her teammates as they finish up this event. Her legs have been glued together this entire time. Great form. Stuck landing.
A great anchor routine there from Kaplan. A trio of career highs a week ago against Illinois State, including that 9.9 on the bars that Kimberly just referred to.
See that beautiful dismount again, that double layout. Big salute. You can tell that she is very happy with that routine. Here's Jayla Washington on vault.
An exhibition for Jayla. 4 of Ball State's 6 vaults were season highs this year. The only 2 that weren't were Ebeyer and Sloanham. Great start in rotation 1 for the Cardinals.
Here's Jayla's vault again. See again with this blind landing. She did a great job getting her feet right under her and really absorbing that landing. You know, she's been taking a little breaks with her knee injuries, but that was a great vault.
Jayla, the senior out of Carmel. Didn't compete last week when the team was in the nation's capital. Here's a look at the room for improvement for Central Michigan. That's one thing Coach Jerry Reigard told us this week where his team needs to improve. Vault and bars. Seems to be the silver lining right there. When Central Michigan wins the bars, they win the event. Kaplan given a 9.8 on the bars for her anchor spot, and then now it's Kaylee Miller, the exhibition.
She's been a solid bar performer for the Chippewas. Let's see what she can bring today. Little regrip of the hand in that blind half. Might have thrown her off a little bit. Her hands just slipped right off on that anchor.
Again, has 30 seconds to get back on the bar. This won't be counted against Central Michigan, just an exhibition.
Exhibition is there just to get that feeling of competing and dealing with nerves, or just even competing like a new skill to see how it scores.
Miller, just a sophomore. How important is it for exhibition, especially when you're younger, to kind of get a feel for things on events that you're trying to compete for scores later in the season or later in your career?
Exhibition spot is important for sophomores, freshmen, even seniors. You're just really trying to earn your spot into lineup, trying to prove your way.
Central Michigan on the bars, a 48.025 for a final team score. That's the lowest they've had all season long.
She came back with a beautiful dismount.
There was the recovery from Miller after the fall, but an exhibition score will not matter. That is the complete rotation 1, including exhibitions. What did you like from Ball State on the vault there, Kimberly?
You know, they have some pretty good vaults, and they have great form, and their landings were much better this week.
4 of the 6 gymnasts on the vault had season highs for Ball State. They lead by an entire point through 1 rotation, 49.025 to Central Michigan's 48.025. A recap of rotation 1 after this as we head to rotation 2 inside Worthen Arena on ESPN3. Welcome back inside Worthen Arena in Muncie, Indiana. Ball State an entire point lead on top of Central Michigan after one rotation due to a shaky start from the Chippewas. Here's a look at those scores. 49.025 from Ball State, a 48.025 on the bars for Central Michigan. We'll send it down to our sideline reporter, the third member of our crew for the first time tonight, Jack Kaiser.
Noah, senior Ball State gymnast Sarah Ebeyer shows focus and a smile every time she competes, but it's not always that easy, especially when she's been directly affected by something as sinister as breast cancer.
At that time, maybe I was thinking, just live, do what you can to live.
She was young, we didn't think anything of it. Thought it's kind of a freak thing. We didn't even know this was a possibility. As a kid, you have all these questions, as is, why is Mom bald? Why isn't she here?
Most people tell you that, oh, it's fine, you know, you're 33, you've had 4 kids. And so when I went to have it checked, I went by myself and thinking everything was going to be just fine.
There is no way in the world that I can raise a family of 4 children on my own. There has to be a way to beat this.
The radiologist came in, he flipped up my mammogram pictures and said, I see it all the time, you have cancer. And, you know, feeling alone or like anything had changed. But your life does change at that moment. You know, I had a double mastectomy, had a full hysterectomy, and I was like, did I do the right thing? I did such radical movements, did I do the right thing?
I think eventually she just had to come to terms with, it's happening, I have to fight it, no matter why it's happening, I'm here and it's, you know, my challenge. And I have to do everything I can to survive, to be here for my kids.
I mean, things that I thought were so important aren't really important. Apartments and rents and, you know, studies and stuff, really, that's not as important as life in general, family, you know, friends, relationships. Doesn't matter what you're wearing or the color of your hair or anything like that. What matters is friends and family.
I mean, I was very young when my mom was diagnosed with cancer, but cancer is a very scary thing, and my aunt went through it too 2 years ago, and you just realize the importance of family and, more importantly, prayer, and we really just came together, supported each other, had someone to lean on, and you just realize that, you know, you see life with an open eye now.
Strong support from the Ebeyer family. Here's a look at Sarah, the senior for Ball State. Jump into conference standings. Here's a look at them. Ball State at 1-0, second place behind the reigning MAC champions Eastern Michigan. A few spots down, Central Michigan at 1-1, tied with Kent State for 4th in the MAC. Let's take a look back quickly at rotation 1 for Ball State. 4 season highs, 5 of the 6 vaulters above a 9.775. A great start for the Cardinals, a large reason why they have an entire point lead on Central Michigan.
Okay, it's time to take flight as we head to bars.
Coach Salim has to be happy with the rotation 1 for the Cardinals.
Today's scores are not just only about this competition, but they're also looking to put up a high score to be able to qualify for regionals.
It'll be Central Michigan on the vault in rotation 2, Ball State on the bars in rotation 2. Here's a look at the lineup for Central Michigan. Gianna Plaxa leading it off, the only all-arounder for the Chippewas today. Danelle Pedrick in the anchor spot.
Firing up the Chippewas first of all is Gianna, who we just saw on bars. Remember to keep an eye out for her clean, tight body positions with sharp landings and height off the table.
She scored a 9.8 last Sunday. That was second on the team on the vault, only behind Katie Clements for first.
Beautiful. And that was a different vault that you just saw there.
She only did floor last year, was not a vaulter.
As you see in the replay, she does a front handspring onto the board, a front handspring onto the table, and a front off. Not something you see all the time.
That's what head coach Jerry Reigard told us earlier this week. Said she does a vault that not many people, let alone in the conference, but in the nation, perform.
She does it very well.
And now it's Miranda Keel, one of Ball State's seniors, on the bars.
Miranda's originally from Iowa and has been a solid performer this season on this particular event. She looks to continue to start the team off strong on this event. Beautiful.
A stuck landing from Keel. She scored a 9.7 last week in Washington, D.C. And here's another look at it.
Looking at the dismount, double back. She absorbs the landing. She's definitely fighting hard for this win today.
Great start for the Cardinals in rotation, 2 from the senior. It's now Kristen Stamball for Central Michigan on the vault.
Another great vault. They're coming back strong from the first event.
She placed third against Ball State a year ago when these two teams competed in Mount Pleasant. Another look at the vault.
Her feet come a little bit apart, but she did baby a little bit of her foot on that landing. She definitely put all her weight on the other foot. Her ankle could be bothering her a little bit.
Plaxa with a 9.8 for Central Michigan on the vault to lead it off. That matches her career high. Here's a look at the bars lineup for Ball State. We just saw Keel. It's now Rachel Benoit. The anchor is Kayla Beckler.
This is a freshman this year for the Cardinals. Rachel's been a great contributor on this event. Now you'll notice that while she does not have a major release move in this routine, but she continued to hold a lineup spot, and that's due to her perfect execution. She's a solid performer with minimal deductions, helping the Cardinals to advance. Let's see what she's got today.
She scored a 9.7, a career high against a top 25 team in NC State when the Cardinals knocked them off a few weeks ago on the road.
Gave a little bit on that arm. Great second routine. I mean, you didn't see that big release move, but she does have beautiful lines, great execution. Had a little bit of a mess up on her release from her high to her low, but finished well.
Here's a look at Kaplan on the vault for Central Michigan.
Yeah, she's done some big things last weekend on her vault, earning a score of a 9.8, and that vault was well done.
Another look at it right here from Kaplan.
Great height, just a little bit of a piked landing. One step back.
There's a look at Caitlin Menzioni. She's next up on the bars for Ball State. The only all-arounder for the Cardinals today. Miranda Keel, who led it off for the Cardinals, scored a 9.775 on the bars. That's a new career high for the senior.
Like I said earlier, the crowd is going to see Caitlin's face a lot today through the competition. Here she's helping the Cardinals to stand strong on their bar performance as a team. One thing that stands out so well with this routine is the gymnast's double layout dismount. It's clean, it's impressive, and overall a beautiful skill. So we will see that at the end of her routine.
She's had a career high 9.8 a season ago in her freshman year. The sophomore all-arounder out of Downers Grove, Illinois.
As you can see, the board is in the middle of the bar, so she's going to be starting a little different way than most gymnasts do.
Next on the bars for Ball State is GYMvsCMU.
Benoit, the freshman, was given a 9.6 on the bars right before Menzioni, who's up. Look at assistant coach Scott Wilson for Ball State.
Beautiful handstand. Her coach is going to stand in just for a little bit to make sure she is good. Look a little too early for that ginger. Feet came apart a little bit and just didn't get her hands quite on.
It is the first fall for Ball State on the bars. So this score may not have to be counted.
I mean, one contribute is that she is a little bit shorter, and the bars are pretty far apart, so she has to accommodate to do skills differently than other gymnasts do because of that reason.
It's Rachel Carr now on the vault.
Here's the gymnast from Indiana. Good vault, a little short, she stepped forward. It's better to step backwards on a Yurchenko full, but well done.
Another look here from Carr on the vault.
Just a tad short, may have been hard on the ankles, and that's why she stepped forward.
There's Jillian Hacker for Ball State. She's up next on the bars for the Cardinals. Hacker scored a career-high 9.8 last weekend in D.C.
Yes, the gymnast is all too familiar with Ball State gymnastics, growing up not too far from here in Anderson. As you can see, she has a lot of love and support here in the crowd today, cheering her on as she looks to build off her huge performance last weekend.
It was a performance in which Coach Celine called her best bar routine of her career. Her confidence is at an all-time high right now. There's an update of the first two scores for Ball State, a 9.775 from Kiel. That's a career high. The freshman Benoit with the 9.6. Jillian exclusively a bars specialist for Ball State.
Beautiful blind. A little short on that bail from the high to the low. Good landing. I mean, it was a little shaky, but she probably was a little nervous from the routine before, but well done.
Has the 17th best score in the bars this season at 9.73. Here's Katie Clements.
Beautiful stuck landing. I mean, last weekend she had a 9.825 on vault. That was well done.
That was the impact gymnast for Central Michigan. She finished first place with a career-high 9.825 against Illinois State a week ago today. Another look at the vault from Clements.
You'll see that stuck landing right here. Well done. She did not move. That's like just a little bit of that foot, but not sure if the judges saw that or not.
Great vault there from the junior. Now Jordan Penny on the bars for Ball State. Penny, one of the best scorers that Ball State has on the bars, but doesn't like to anchor, so Coach Salim elects to go with Beckler, who will be next.
Now we saw Jordan's beautiful form in her vault last rotation, and she shows that same form of perfect execution here in her bar routine. Personally, I've watched this routine hundreds of times and could watch it hundreds of times more. It is absolutely beautiful, and it's jaw-dropping how dynamic this gymnast is on this particular event. You can tell this is where she is in her comfort zone and shines bright each week.
Fourth best score in the MAC this season, an average of a 9.85.
Just look at that handstand, great lines. She does a pike Jaeger. Some girls do a straddle Jaeger, but she did a pike Jaeger, meaning her feet are together. Great routine. She executed definitely that well.
Here's Danelle Pedrick, talented freshman for Central Michigan.
Great vault. No wonder she is in that anchor spot. I mean, you noticed her confidence throughout her skills, and you'll see it today as she is on other events, and her determination as she performs each one of them. And I'm sure this helped her nail this anchor spot. Beautiful form. She was even open. Great landing.
Coach Rygaard told us earlier this week the vault was one event that they needed to work on. Said looking for the biggest improvements here. They have yet to hit a 49, and that's the only event all season long the Chippewas haven't eclipsed the 49 mark yet. But Clements, who was up there right before Pedrick, scored a 9.825. That's her third consecutive meet this season in which she scored a career high. Senior Kayla Beckler on the bars now for the Cardinals.
You know, rounding up the end of the lineup for the Cardinals on the even bars is Kayla. There's no question as to why she holds this anchor spot for her team. One thing to watch is for her incredible height she gets on her major release move and the overall flow of her routine. Here's her release move. Beautiful height, I just said. Now she did add a new dismount this year, enhancing her difficulty of this routine. It enhances it and gives it that wow factor, as we will see right here. She adds a twist to her double back. A little short, may have let go a little too early, but nice cover up.
Beckler was a 3-time state champion all around in the state of Ohio as a high schooler. Another look at her dismount here.
Just a little short. As you can see, her chest is a bit down, so she has to take that step forward.
The 6 who go for scores are now complete in rotation 2. Danelle Pedrick, the freshman, with a 9.9, a career high. Her previous career high was a 9.85. That came back on January 20th. And Central Michigan as a team scores exactly a 49. That's what Coach Rygaard was looking. Biggest improvements on the vault. They haven't scored a 49 all season long. They do so today.
Next on the bars, an exhibition for Ball State is Madeline McDonald.
Maddie McDonald now on the bars, an exhibition. One of the freshmen for Ball State.
Yes, as we just saw her on vault, she is about to compete on bars. Now just working hard to earn that spot in lineup. There's that Jaeger, that's a straddle with her feet apart. Good handstand. She's gaining speed for her dismount. Double leg, beautiful. She definitely may have earned her spot.
Talk about trying to make a spot in the lineup. A great performance in the exhibition there for Ball State. Just a slight lead as Central Michigan chips away on the vault. Ball State held an entire point lead on Central Michigan through rotation 1, but a 49 from Central Michigan on rotation 2 pulls them closer.
just wanna say for the moment, I just wanna stay for the rest of my life. Now I know what love feels like. I can hold the world in my hands tonight. Oh, 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 oh. I won't stop until my name is lights. Oh, 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 oh. We like stars, we're gonna shine so bright. Oh, 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 oh. No, I won't stop until my name is lights. 'Cause now I know what love feels like. I can hold the world in my hands tonight.
Rotation 1 was dominated by Ball State, but Central Michigan chips their way back in rotation 2 with a new season high of 49 on the vault, the first time all year the Chippewas reached that. Had 3 scores on the vault above a 9.8. That was Clements, Plaxa, and Pedrick. Only time all year long the Chippewas have had 3 scores above a 9.80. Ball State on the bars. Not quite as impressive as what they were on the vault. Scored under a 49. A career high by the senior leadoff in Miranda Keel. She had a 9.775.
You know, Ball State came back from the fall, but they're looking very confident here today. Let's see what they bring on the next 2 events.
We're halfway through in Worthen Arena. Rotation 3 on its way. We're first going to go down to Jack Kaiser as he touches on Ball State's trip to the nation's capital last weekend.
Noah, last weekend Ball State traveled to our nation's capital for a meet with George Washington, New Hampshire, and Towson. The Cardinals finished last out of the 4 teams, but did show some individual success. Jillian Hacker, Bree Slonim, and Bailey Bell all posted career highs on different events. Head coach Joanna Salim said that Slonim, as a freshman, she has continued to progress and has high potential, while Bell has been a calming and consistent presence for this team all year. Sunday for Ball State, with how personal success can be a bright spot in a loss.
Thank you for that, Jack. Along with the 3 career highs for Ball State, Bailey Bell was the only first-place finish on the beam, a 9.875. Take a look at it there. Ball State finished last in the nation's capital. They were second going into the last event, but really struggled on the beam, the one area of concern that Coach Salim has had. When you have a meet like that, Kimberly, where the team just doesn't perform all that well, how do you look to rebound off of that?
I mean, they came into their last event, they were doing strong, and then they just had some mess-ups on beam. So I'm sure this week in practice they worked very hard, probably did a lot of pressure sets on beam to deal with those nerves and see if they can bring it here today.
Coach told us this week, we still haven't hit beam yet this year, and it's in our mind. She said if I could just bring them in there and compete on the beam in the practice facility instead of here in Worthen Arena, I'd do so. She says they do great in practice all week long, but now it's a mindset of struggling with the beam. They haven't been able to hit it all year long. They look to do so today against Central Michigan.
It's definitely different practicing in your own gym, your own thing. It's the same thing you do every single day, and coming in here, it does get you a little bit out of your zone, but beam is definitely one of those events that is a mindset, and you have to put it down to it. That's what it comes down to.
It is the Think Pink meet for Ball State in support of breast cancer. So you get a look at the warm-up T-shirts for the Cardinals, had their nicknames on the back as well.
With Central Michigan being on the floor, leading it off the beam for Ball State, Bailey Bell.
Ball State on the beam now in rotation 3. They lead off with Bailey Bell. She's been the most consistent. Had the only first-place finish for the Cardinals last week in D.C. when she scored a 9.875, a new career high.
Yeah, Bell is one of those gymnasts who represented Ball State at last year's Road to Regionals competition on this particular event. She moves with such confidence on the beam, and it shows throughout her entire routine. Overall, she's an incredible performer to start off the Cardinals on this event. Beautiful series, back handspring layout. You can tell she is very confident up there. Side summy. It's a little hard to see where you're landing when you're landing sideways on the beam. So far, flawless routine. You can tell she's enjoying it up there. Stuck landing. Great start for the Ball State Cardinals.
A big smile on the face of Bailey Bell after that dismount.
Here's a look at her dismount.
Get another look at it here. And
1.5 twist.
last year as a sophomore, Salim had her as the leadoff on the beam, tried to move her to the anchor position because she's the best on the team, but she's more of a calming effect is what coach told us. They'd rather have her at the start to calm the team down. A great start on the beam for Bailey Bell and Ball State. It's now Brittany Kaplan on the floor for the Chippewas.
Double pike, held it a little in too long, didn't let go of her feet, and stepped back. She's looking to start off the Chippewas well. A floor is a great place for people to show their personality throughout their floor music and just to really have fun. Maybe get the crowd involved. Here we go for her last pass. There's a round off back handspring double back.
She scored a 9.8 on the floor last week, and that was one of 3 career highs for the junior out of Colorado. Good start on the floor for the Chippewas.
Next on the beat for Ball State.
This first pass where she stumbles a little bit backward, she could have been dealing with a lot of energy and just didn't really know how to deal with the power and just took a couple steps back, which will be a few deductions.
It's a freshman, Caitlin Menzioni now, sophomore rather, on the beam for Ball State. Bailey Bell scored a 9.85, just shy of her career high that she set last week in DC of a 9.875.
Here's Caitlin again that you've seen a lot of. She has a difficult routine packed with detailed skills, but delivers them well and with ease. No move on that series. Little overturn on that full turn, but she corrected with a dance move. Good switch leap, pointed toes, 180 degrees. Here comes the dismount. Good landing. Same with that, it's a 4.5 twist. It is a blind landing, so it's harder to see to stick. Good routine.
The only all-arounder for the Cardinals, competing in her 3rd of 4 events today. Another look at the dismount from Menzioni.
Just a little sideways, didn't get the twist all the way around, but well done.
To the floor with Central Michigan, it's Skylar Memel, a 9.725 from Kaplan to start on the floor.
This team is known for their consistency and presentation, and you'll see this here during her routine. Good double pike. Her teammates seem to really be enjoying this routine. She did a 4.5 twist to a front layout.
She's done an excellent job. Let's see how she ends the routine. Double back, beautiful. That's the routine they were looking for.
A great routine from Memel.
As
Coach,
we see, as the team rushes onto the ground, she has really pumped them up.
Coach Rygaard says she has great crowd appeal, a great dancer, and the best thing about her, she's getting better and better each week. You see that with a routine like that from the sophomore.
Here's her last pass as her double back. Throws her hands up knowing that that was a good routine.
Slonim on the beam for Ball State.
What's interesting about that layout that she did a triple series, meaning she does 3 skills in a row. It's different than most gymnasts if they do 2. I mean, this freshman really shows some confidence up on the beam. She does not second guess herself. She did a double full off the beam, different from the last one we just saw, and she saw that landing, absorbed it, and stuck it. Great routine. It was very amazing to see her sharpness with her dance and her confidence as she was up there, which is great to see from a freshman.
The talented freshman Slonim on the beam for Ball State. It's Plaxa now on the floor for Central Michigan, the only all-around competitor for the Chippewas today.
We will enjoy this routine as last meet she scored above a 9.9. She did a front handspring 1.5 twist to a back layout step out. One thing you have to watch on floor is the lines. I mean, if you do step on it or even over it, there's a deduction. The front handspring double, she was just a little short, didn't get her twist all the way around, so she stepped a little sideways, which will be a deduction because it wasn't straight. Beautiful Rudy at the end. So for handspring 1.5 twist. I mean, what was very interesting about that routine is she did all front tumbling, which you don't normally see. You usually see a mix of front tumbling and back tumbling, but front tumbling is her forte.
4th best floor score average in the MAC, over a 9.8 for the sophomore out of Pennsylvania. The 9.9 that Kimberly referred to in last meet was a new career high. We go back to the beam, Ball State, it's Jackie Duffy.
Last week, Jackie Duffy was moved to the exhibition spot and thrown into lineup after an unexpected injury. Took one of the Cardinals' beam performers out of the meet. She delivered an excellent routine under pressure. Very interesting series. She did a front tuck into a back handspring. Something different.
The meet in Washington, D.C. last week was her first competition that counted for a score all year long.
She looks focused, sharp, and confident. She just did a front walkover on the beam with one arm. Impressive. She did a front full dismount off the beam and stuck the landing. I mean, that is very nice. I mean, coming from last week when she was just thrown into lineup, that is something that is nerve-wracking because you weren't expecting it, and she just proved her point right there.
Nice dismount there from Duffy. Danelle Pedrick, the talented freshman on the floor for Central Michigan. Coach Rygaard says she has a high ceiling, a possibility of being an all-around champion in the MAC championships as a junior or senior.
Yes, last week she scored a 9.925. You just saw a round-off back handspring triple fold, meaning she did 3 twists in the air. That is very rare and very difficult. Little short on the landing, didn't want to step out of bounds, so she stepped sideways. Ready for that third pass. Double pike, a little short, didn't seem like she had enough power. She might be a little tired from really getting into this routine.
Scored a 9.925 last week against Illinois State. That got her a first place finish.
Next on the beam for Ball State, Kayla Beckler.
Now Kayla Beckler on the beam for Ball State.
We just saw her on the uneven bars last rotation, and now here she is on beam. This gymnast shines bright on this event. You can see that through her dance. You know, gymnastics isn't always just about the skills. It's also about the way you perform, and Kayla Beckler does an incredible job of performing her beam routine. That back handspring layout step out. She turned her little feet off sideways and just threw her off enough balance to take her off that beam. Beautiful 180 split. And here comes her dismount. Beautiful, stuck landing. I mean, there was that mistake, but she came back strong, which is very important just in case they have to count that routine. But, you know, they still have people coming up, and they've been doing great on this event.
On the beam so far for Ball State, already 2 scores above a 9.8. That's Bell and Duffy. Duffy scored exactly a 9.8. That's a new career high.
As you could see just now the replay, she did her back handspring layout. Now she's looking at her feet. You can see her feet land, but she was just slightly off, and as she turned that foot, she just overcorrected and fell off.
Central Michigan's impact gymnast Katie Clements on the floor now, ranked #1 in the MAC, an average of 9.85.
You know, that double back, she just squatted a little bit too much. That made her step back and didn't get her hands quite off her legs fast enough. Her legs kind of came apart. Doesn't look like she wasn't tight enough to be able to punch off the floor to get that height for that front tuck, and just a little stumbled there. She's still enjoying this routine. You can see how she smiles. Good last pass, double pike. A little bit of a struggle on those first 2 passes, but she ended with a really nice pass for a third pass.
Scored a career high 9.925 on the floor last week. First place finish for Clements.
Here's her double back. She just holds on, steps back, and if she almost stepped back a little bit farther, she would have been out of bounds, which would have been another deduction on top of those 2 extra steps.
Jordan Penny, the anchor for Ball State on the beam.
You know, we've seen a lot of Jordan Penning today for the Cardinals, and she has certainly delivered some respectable gymnastics. You'll see the same form and dedication here on beam that you saw her on the other events. This routine is stunning and ends the Cardinals on a positive note as they look forward to their next rotation on the floor exercise. Little bit of a bobble there, but great save. She just opened her hips just a tad bit. Little step sideways. Great job. Good routine coming back from the fall.
A nice finish from the anchor, Penny, on the beam. Coach Salim said they hadn't hit beam all year.
Here you will see her series. She does a back handspring, does a layout, turns the foot so her hips come open, takes that front foot off, but squares up her hips, get her arms up, and gets that balance back.
Now Macy Hilliker on the floor, the anchor for Central Michigan. Scored a career-high 9.925 last week.
And she looks to do the same here today. Beautiful. This anchor spot is very important, finishing out on the floor event. You can tell she's very enjoying this routine. Front layout, front full, and adds a jump to the end, which actually adds some bonus to it. You know, you use those floor times as a gymnast to breathe before you're about to do your last pass. It ends with a beautiful double pike. Great landing. Great routine.
Received a 10 from one judge last week in the meet against Illinois State. Coach Rygaard said she's captivating on the floor, has all the ups you could want from a gymnast.
You will see the replay of the front layout, front full, and adds this jump at the end. It's just different than a normal jump lunge. Something different you will see, and adds just that unique aspect to that routine.
Sarah Ebeyer on the beam, an exhibition for Ball State.
A little overturn on the full turn. She has a solid routine. You can see how it flows very well with the rest of the beam lineup. She trains with these girls day in and day out. The exhibition spot is truly in an important position in the lineup created, so that if anyone got hurt, she could fill those shoes. She just did a one-arm back handspring layout step out. A little bit different than most gymnasts would do when they do a back handspring with 2 arms. Great jump. She struggled a little bit with that last week. You know, she adds in that cartwheel because you have to have a side skill in beam. Here comes her dismount. And she dismounts actually off the side of the beam doing a ganger full.
Ball State on the beam today scored a 48.8. That's a new season high. It previously was a 48.35. January 20th came in a tri-meet.
You will see this dismount as she twists towards the beam doing a full twist. Great comeback for the Cardinals after that fall. They really pulled it together and did well on this event.
Next on the floor in exhibition for Central Michigan will be Courtney Campbell.
There's a look at the floor routines last week from Central Michigan. Tied for first place, Clements and Hilliker at a 9.925. Hilliker, as we mentioned, received a perfect 10 from one of the judges. It's now Courtney Campbell in an exhibition on the floor.
As we saw her on bars today. She did a punch 1.5. Beautiful switch ring, really touching that foot to that head in that leap. couldn't get her feet quite underneath her to be able to get that punch into that front tuck. Going into our third pass. Two and a half twists, just a little short. You know, they add those mats there for ankles, so it doesn't hurt as much.
The 9.85 on the floor from Hilliker gives Central Michigan a team score of 48.775, the lowest floor score they've had in the last 3 meets. Something Central Michigan prides themselves on is the floor. Don't quite get it done today. Through 3 rotations in Muncie, Ball State leads 146.4 to 145.8. A great round on the beam for the Cardinals, a new season high for Ball State. Three rotations through from Worthen Arena on the campus of Ball State University. Central Michigan in Ball State competing today. 2 season highs for Ball State, a 49.025 on the vault and a 48.8 on the beam, has them with a slight lead on top of Central Michigan, 146.4 to 145.8. Let's check in with Jack Kaiser.
Noah, these athletes make gymnastics look easy, but the most challenging part of the sport is often the mental side. Ball State often deals with mind games when it comes to gymnastics.
It's not at the right time. It's not possible.
Focus, breathe, finish,
Land, hurt yourself, find the ground. But
try not to be focused.
Gymnastics is 80% mental and 20% physical. So many elements that can go wrong. In the middle of it, you have to be able to understand and recognize that it went wrong and try to figure out how to land in the safest manner.
Talk about a time that you can remember that there was something you could have done, but you just mentally stopped yourself.
I have a big mental block a lot of times on bars, which is actually one of my best events. And for some reason, just swinging one of the most basic skills, a giant, I couldn't get myself to go around the bar. And one of the most frustrating portions of it is that there's no reason to be afraid. It's just that in my mind, sometimes it doesn't physically make sense.
We're going to take everything back to the basics. We're going to come back and we're going to relearn everything. Retrain your brain on what to think and how to tackle it. And when you learn things the right way, you start to notice that it becomes a little bit less scary each time.
Each person has their own triggers, and it's not cookie cutter gymnastics. It really comes down to knowing your athletes and trying to figure out what do I need to do to support you so that you feel comfortable getting ready to go. With one of our athletes, it's, okay, I'm singing I'm a Little Teapot before we go up on beam, just because it makes her laugh and she's like, ugh, why are you doing this again? But it pulls her away from being so focused on what she's about to do. Whereas some of the other girls, I have to make sure, okay, you need to stay sharp and you need to stay tall, and I talk through each skill that they're getting ready to do.
I can do it because I know I can do it in practice. And Joanna always says to trust training, and we have it, which definitely always helps me. I always think of that. So knowing I can do it in practice helps me with doing it in competition.
Take us through your process before you do something where you know it could end really good or really bad.
When I stand up on the beam, I don't think I'm about to do a back handspring layout. I think I need to sit back, I need to have tight arms and tight legs, boom, and that's how I make the skill. We've done these skills for so long that our body knows what it's doing. We have muscle memory, but yet our mind has to be in the exact right spot in order to work well with our body. And finding that, that rhythm and that harmony between the mind and body is a hard thing to do. You can have a gymnast who has all the talent in the world, but if she goes out there and her brain is just taking over her body and it absolutely defeats her, well then this girl that's over here and she goes in with a positive attitude and she knows what she's doing and she stays to her mental keys, you have a champion.
The fourth and final rotation set to begin from Worthen Arena. This is what the beam looks like for the Chippewas. They're led off by Shyla Segal.
Beam is one of those events that you never really know what's going to happen. You can be as consistent as can be, but, beam has its own mind and you never know what's going to happen.
Central's impact gymnast Katie Clements is the MAC Gymnast of the Week once already this year. She'll be the anchor on the beam for the Chippewas. Here's Segal.
That first spot is actually very important. Getting them on the right track, calming the other gymnasts, and just really being confident.
And that's exactly why Segal's in that spot. Coach Reigard told us earlier this week she has the calming effect and she's able to really calm everybody down in the lineup behind her. Scored a career-high 9.775 last Sunday.
She's looking to start things off strong as a team as they continue to fight for a win here in Worthen Arena against Ball State. Beautiful back handspring layout. Tight legs all the way through to the pointed toes. Little bit of a bobble on that full turn, lifted her leg. Very interesting. She added a layout step out to her leap pass. Beautiful dismount. Did one of those side dismounts again, a ganger where you twist towards the beam and do a full twist.
A good start in the final rotation for Central Michigan. Go to the floor at Shelby Arms for Ball State. One of three seniors for the Cardinals competing on the floor today.
Now this is one event that is so entertaining to watch Ball State compete on. They just shine bright through the routines. You really see each competitor come alive on the floor and interact with the crowd. First up is Shelby, as you said. Notice her fun music along with the difficulty in her tumbling pass, such as entertaining gymnasts to watch starting out the last event for the Cardinals today. She starts off with a round up back handspring, 2.5 punch front. Done very well. You can see a little bit of her sass in her floor routine. Trying to get the crowd, the judges, her teammates all involved. fun. For a handspring double. Little kick out there to save that little bit of an overturn. Didn't want to step out of bounds. Mistakenly, she was out of bounds on that pass. You saw in her routine, she does a lot of twisting things more than flipping. Here is a second pass for a handspring double twist. Does a little bit of a kick out and has definitely her toe on that white line.
So look at Arms had a season high 9.8 on the floor last week in Washington, D.C. We go to Skylar Memel on the beam for Central. Segal scored a 9.7 to lead the Chippewas off on the beam.
You know, we've seen a lot of Skylar today, and that's due to her confidence and consistency here in the lineups. You can tell she's determined with every skill she competes, no matter what event it may be on. A little shaky up there on the beam. Beautiful straddle jump.
Look at the dismount here from Memel.
A round off double. A little bit of a squat onto that one leg. Maybe might have been trying to, looks like she has a hurt leg, might have been trying to save it, but good beam.
Claire Collins now on the floor for Ball State, a floor specialist. Has only competed in 2 meets this season due to some sickness earlier on in the year.
Yes, this routine will not disappoint you. Claire is one of those gymnasts who puts her heart and soul into the dance of her routine, and that energy feeds off the crowd, and you'll see that here in her floor performance. She's breathing, really thinking about this first pass. She does a front tuck into a round-off back handspring double pike. She did that very well. Beautiful front pass. You know, the energy is very high in here right now, and I think she's really feeding off that. You know, you always want to start from a 10-0 on floor, and you know, just you have to add up all of your skills, all your different difficulty and everything. You don't want to miss any of those skills to not start from a 10-0.
The first time in 4 meets that Claire Collins has competed. The last time she had an appearance was at NC State when the Cardinals knocked off a top 25 team. To the beam we go. It's Casey Janowitz, the reigning MAC Freshman Gymnast of the Year.
A little bit of bobble, but got back on track. Different series, she did a layout step out back handspring, so the opposite order of what you normally see. Gorgeous leaps. Very sharp movement in her dance, making it graceful to watch. Beautiful landing.
Janowitz scored a career-high 9.9 on the beam a year ago when these two teams competed in Mount Pleasant. Good enough to get her a first-place finish.
Here again is that full turn. Opens up a little too early, walks forward to get, her balance, which is great, but there will be some deduction for that.
It's now Sydney Finke on the floor for Ball State. Claire Collins received a 9.7, a new season high for the junior.
This gymnast is just a little firecracker on floor with her dance and tumbling. She did a front handspring, double full punch front. Job well done. She is just always laughing and having a good time while competing her routine and has no issue showing it off. You will rarely catch this gymnast without a smile on her face on this particular event, just as she's showing, just really enjoying it. A little close to that line and a little sideways. Short on that double pike. Ending with a double pike is really hard on the body, and she did a good job with it, just a little short on those ankles and stepping forward.
Big senior presence for Ball State. 3 of the 6 on the floor for the Cardinals today are all seniors. Biggest contributors, Keel, Ebeyer, Beckler, and Arms, who you've seen on multiple events today. It's Gianna Plaxa, the only all-arounder for Central Michigan today on the beam. Finished second last week with a 9.75 against Illinois State.
Little open hips on that series. She also did a back handspring layout, which is 3 skills connected. Unique dance move. Adding that side skill into her routine to make sure she gets that bonus. Good landing. Different dismount. She actually flips towards the beam.
Janowitz received a 9.325 on the beam, as now we will await Plaxa's score.
Here's that 3 series again. Back handspring, layout. Little turned out foot, picks up that front foot, but recovers well.
The second of 3 seniors on the floor for Ball State, it's Sarah Ebeyer.
Throughout her time at Ball State, she has actually choreographed several of her teammates' routines along with her own. And this year, she showcases a new routine for her senior year as she looks to build momentum for the Cardinal team. This first pass is dynamic, double pike, followed by a mixture of sassy and energetic choreography. Lots of height and power on that first pass. As you can see, her little sass. Beautiful leaps. Really pumping up the crowd. Really pumping up the crowd. Here she goes for her 3rd pass. Looking to finish well. Here's a front handspring, front full, front pike. Good routine.
Great routine from Ebeyer. Coach Salim told us her biggest strength on the floor was her presentation. You can't teach the kind of poise she has. No one engages the crowd quite like her. Kimberly, as her sister, what is it like watching her compete, especially on events that you did in previous years at Eastern Michigan?
I will definitely say that it's more nerve-wracking watching than being on the floor. But she does a job well done. I know that she is confident, and we both love to dance, so I know that she is enjoying her time out there, and I hope she really takes in all the memories this year as her senior year. Here's her second pass. She does a front full 1.5 twist layout step out. You saw the height on that last flip. Good landing, and she smiles big.
Now Fitzpatrick on the beam, already fell once.
She was just a little short. Chest was back. She lifted that foot, tried to save it, but didn't get her shoulders over the beam enough and fell right off.
Second senior in a row on the floor. It's Kayla Beckler for Ball State.
She has a lot to offer on this event. She has clean, dynamic tumbling with a routine that captures everyone's attention. She is certainly a gymnast that focuses on the smallest of details throughout her routine, and that shows here on floor. Let's look at this first pass. Beautiful height and form. For a handspring front full. This routine is very cute and definitely shows her personality. Good switch ring. This dance move right here always gets the crowd going. Floor routine, great finish. I mean, she did have a little bit of a sore ankle. I wasn't sure if she was going to compete today on floor, but did a job well done.
Actually injured a little bit on floor last week. Didn't think we'd see her on floor, but we do indeed. A great routine from her. Ebeyer, who preceded her, finished with a 9.825. That's back-to-back season highs on the floor for the senior.
You know, here on beam, they're looking to recover from that fall before. That triple series again, job well done.
This is Katie Clements, the impact gymnast for Central Michigan.
She looks like she definitely has confidence up there. She is definitely in her zone today.
Finished fourth in the MAC championships in Worthen Arena a year ago, and 9.875 on the beam.
Beautiful front aerial. I mean, being in that anchor spot, she wants to end on a very high note today. Gorgeous beam routine. You definitely can tell that she was third in the MAC conference last year on this event. Here you'll see her dismount again, twisting towards the beam full, and has a stuck landing. Salutes big. She is definitely happy with that routine.
A great finish from the anchor position from Central Michigan. It's now Caitlin Menzioni, the anchor position for Ball State on the floor.
As you said, she is the anchor. She's going to wrap up today's competition for the Ball State Cardinals. The last time this gymnast competed on this event in Worthen Arena, she delivered an unforgettable score of a 9.9. Her tumbling captures your attention right from the beginning, as you will see right here. That is a full in as her first pass. She does a double back with a full twist in it. You can just feel the energy from her teammates in the crowd, and she's looking to bring home a solid finish for the Cardinals here today. Front full front layout. Executed very well. Having some fun looking at those teammates, you know, just getting those nerves off the shoulders. Double back, beautiful landing. She definitely brought it home on this event.
Minzioni, one of the toughest roles you could have as a Ball State gymnast. She replaces Denasia Christian as the anchor on the floor. Christian was a 3-time All-MAC champion on the floor, sophomore, junior, and senior. Minzioni, just a sophomore, taking over that role.
There was that double back. Great finish.
An average of a 9.8 on the floor this season for Minzioni. That's ranked 9th best in the MAC. Now it's Courtney Campbell, rather Danelle Pedrick, the exhibition on the beam for Central Michigan.
She just did her series, had a little bit too much power, stepped back and stepped right off that beam. Dismount, double twist. Doesn't look too happy, but she finished up well after that fall.
There's a look at the Central Michigan beam scores, led by the 9.85 of Katie Clements. Now Miranda Keel, the exhibition, another senior for the Cardinals.
You know, one thing that is very interesting, Miranda had a miraculous return on this event after undergoing hip surgery this past summer. Double pike. Her dedication, hard work, returning to the event shows here on the floor. Her personality is directly reflected by her music, and enthusiasm is seen through her routine. Front layout, front full. You can tell she's a very powerful gymnast. You can tell she's enjoying it. I mean, as a senior, you want to take it all in because before you know it, it's all over. A little short on that last pass, but job well done. Very dynamic ending.
Fourth senior we saw on the floor for Ball State today. The first three counted for score. Arms, Ebeyer, and Beckler. The fourth right there, Keel, in exhibition routine. Another strong performance on the floor for Ball State, a 49.025, almost an entire point better than Central Michigan on the beam, 42.250. All four rotations complete from Worthen Arena. Ball State, the unofficial winners today, 195.425 to 194.05. An impressive showing for the Ball State Cardinals. 2 season highs on both the vault and the beam. Over a 49 on the vault for the first time this season, and a 48.8 on the beam for the Cardinals. Look back at the third rotation. Bailey Bell started it off strong for the Cardinals.
Ball State did a very well job coming back from, their last meet at Washington. Not doing so well in this event. You can definitely tell they worked very hard in practice, did pressure sets, and it paid off today.
That was one of the things they struggled with most last week in Washington, D.C.
Although they did have a fall on beam, they came back strong and didn't have to count it.
On the floor for Central Michigan, that's what they tab as their best routine, best event. They have 4 of the MAC's top 8 scorers on average this season, but scored just a 48.775. That was their lowest score in the last 3 meets and their second lowest, dating all the way back to the season opener.
Last meet against Illinois State, they did have 3 9-9s and above. And, now they didn't do as well as they would probably hope to today, but they'll get into that gym. They're going to work hard, and hopefully for the next week that they will do better.
The 4th and final rotation, it started with Central Michigan on the beam. Second best score of the year for the Chippewas, a 48.25, but it wasn't quite enough. Dug themselves a pretty big hole against the Cardinals early on.
They had some beautiful routines. They did have a fall, but other girls that were a little off, they fixed it. Their anchor was amazing and definitely ended on a great note.
The Cardinals on the floor today, over a 49. 2 of the 4 events scored higher than a 49. Second best score of the year on the floor for the Cardinals. Unofficially, their best performance of the year. The first time they were over a 195 all season long. Defeated Central Michigan by more than an entire point. Interview with head coach Joanna Salim after this on ESPN3.
First with scores of 9.800 from Central Michigan University, Brittany Kaplan, and from Ball State, Jordan Penny. On the beam with a score of 9.800 in third place from Ball State University, Jackie Duffy.
Ball State remains perfect in the Mid-American Conference with a win over MAC West foe Central Michigan, 195.425. We send it down to Jack Kaiser with a post-meet interview with Joanna Salim.
Thanks, Noah. Coach, your team started out early with vault. How important was that early success?
It's always important when you can come out and get a good solid event under your belt. Moving into the rest of the meet, it builds confidence, and you want to be able to use that momentum to move forward.
You also now moved to 2-0 in the MAC. What were the key factors in those 2 victories?
focusing on our gymnastics. We really have to come into each meet and make sure that we're doing the routines that we can do. We can't control what the other teams are doing. So our focus today was to come in and try and put 4 events down on the floor the way that we can do it in the practice facility. And that's what we did today. We're still capable of doing more. I mean, we had some mistakes, but for them to be able to come out and work together as a team and have 4 solid events, that's when you come out on top.
Thanks, Coach. Congratulations on the win. Noah?
Thank you, Jack. Congratulations to Coach Salim. Ball State wins 195.425 to 194.05. Kimberly, an impressive performance today for Ball State, especially after a performance last week where they finished last out of 4 teams in D.C.
Yes, incredible comeback. I mean, definitely you could see that their hard work paid off, and it's a job well done. And the Chippewas will probably go back and work hard this week to improve for next week.
A season high on ball and beam for the Cardinals lead them to a win over an entire point over Central Michigan. Today's Ball State SportsLink production was produced by Allison Wilson and directed by J.C. Obringer. For Kimberly Ebeyer and Jack Kaiser, I'm Noah Reed saying so long from Muncie, where Ball State wins 195.425 to 194.05. To watch this entire meet on replay, as well as other games in our family of ESPN networks, log on to Watch ESPN. Thanks everybody for watching. This has been a presentation of ESPN.